begin the Maimer in Parshas Vayera, the first Maimer in the pamphlet, page 3, first Maimer. In this Maimer, the Alter Rebbe is going to explore the inyan of Galus and Gula. Alter Rebbe addressed it also in Parshas Shmos. In general, we see that Shmos, Sefer Shmos, is connected with the inyan of Gula, right? Every Sefer, besides the name that we have, that we refer to it, so it has a name. Mashal Sefer Bereshis is called Sefer Ayasha, and Sefer Shmos is Sefer Gula, the inyan of Gula. So you see it, even though in Parshas Shmos you don't see the Gula, Parshas Vayera, the beginning of it, because you have the beginning of the Makkos, which and then in Parshas Bei it's clear. But Akopanim, the Alter Rebbe here is going to explore the inyan of Galus and Gula, and also the way it's connected in Avodas Adam. So that you have, in the process of Galus and Gula, you have what is called, in the Oisius HaKabbalah, you have Ibur, Leida, and Meichin. Ibur is the pregnancy, Leida is the actual birth, and Meichin is, or sometimes Yenika, which that is the development that takes place after the birth. So just like you have Begashmis, the process of the child, so it begins with an Ibur, begins with a fetus, and then it goes through Leida, it goes through birth, and then it goes through Meichin, which is now the child is developing in the sense that his seichel and his midas are developing further. So too you have this process of this is the process of the Leidas Am Yisrael. This is the Gula that takes place also in that way. In Oisius HaKabbalah, it refers to Ibur as, and I'm sure you've seen this, Tlas Klulim Mitlas, or Tlas Gav Tlas, which means 3 in 3. So when you take the spheres, so the Hestes, what does that mean? That means that the Meichin, Chabad, is in the Midas, in Tlas, which is Chesed Gvura Tiferes, and that's within Netzach Chod Yesod. So really, what's present in the matziv of Ibur is the lowest of the Midas, which is Netzach Chod Yesod. And the idea of Leida and Meichin is to now take it out of a state of Ibur, which is a state of one is incorporated in the other, and to build each one on its own. So each one is its own parts of, each one is its own inyan. And now you have the inyan of Chabad, Chagas, and Nehi. The inyan of Nehi, B'derech Klal, without getting into the details of Nehi, the inyan of Nehi is the inyan of Maisa. When someone is doing something on a Nehi level, it's called a Nehi frequency. How is he operating? He's operating mainly in Maisa. He's doing it. We call Kabbalah Sel. You have the inyan, the way you have even in Nehi, you have the inyan of Midas somewhat, and you have also the inyan of Seichel somewhat, but it's all more negea to Maisa. So, for example, the inyan of doing a mitzvah, the dugma, when it's in the level of Nehi, so it could be some type of inspiration, but it's a very very minute level, very watered down, very shallow. as opposed to when you have the inyan of midas, the way it is mitzad chagas. So now you have the inyan of ava and yira in a deeper eifin. Okay, so that's the general idea of where we're going in this maimer. The Eira Lavram, this maimer, by the way, it was said Chav Ches Tevis, Shabbos Mevarchim, like this year, Shvat, Shabbos Mevarchim Shvat, the year Tovkuf Samach Beis, 1802. Ve'era Lavram Yitzchak Vel Yaakov Bekel Shin Daled Yud Ushmi Avaya Lo Nedaiti Lahem. So the Alter Rebbe is medayik. It's different diukim in the pasuk. In the simple sense, when you learn the pasuk, so it seems like Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Hashem revealed Himself to them through a name, as Hashem in general. It means Hashem reveals Himself, except for we have Lamashal by the Matan Torah, Aseres Adibris, so it says Anochi. Anochi is higher than a name, right? Anochi Misha Anochi. But B'derech Klal, every Gilui, Elikus, is through a name. The name gives it a certain toyar, whatever that Gilui is. Shem Havaya is called Shem Etzem because with Shem Havaya, the Yud Kei Vav Kei is in that name is the least of a concealment, even though you have Yud Kei Vav Kei, what each letter means, but there the atzmis of the Eibishter comes through because it's not such a concealment. But all the other names, Kel, Elikim, etc., Adnai, all of those is a concealment in that particular eifin. And that's why we say it's connected with each one of this, connected with a different sphera. When we say the chesed of the Eibishter, so now it's the Eibishter the way he is expressing himself through chesed or through gvura, etc. So here, so the pshat is that the Eibishter revealed himself to the others. So through which name? Through the name Shin Daled Yud, but not through the name Havaya. So the truth is, it's not the pshat, and Rashi already asked the question. We find Havaya, we find Yud Kei Vav Kei by the others as well. But the pshat that it's not through Yud Kei Vav Kei is the word Lo Nedaiti Lahem. The idea of Yud Kei Vav Kei was not in an oifen of Nedaiti. So you have the Gilui, which is through the name, but then you have the oifen, the way it's niskabel by the mekabel, and there Lo Nedaiti. By the others, that they didn't have the level of Nedaiti. So the pashtus in Alpi Pshut Yishul Mikra, the way Rashi says, Lo Nedaiti is because they were promised everything, but it wasn't recognized. It didn't manifest yet. The idea of going out of Mitzrayim and going into Eretz Yisrael, that didn't take place yet. So Shmi Havaya, the emeskite of the Eibishter, was not recognized, was not realized yet. Even though there was a Gilui, but it wasn't in an oifen of Nedaiti. So here too, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, you had the inyan of Havaya by the Avis. But the way the Havaya was by the Avis was not the way the oifen of Havaya, the way it is afterwards. So Ad Kedei Kach, that it says Shmi Havaya Lo Nedaiti Lahem. So you have the inyan of Shmi Havaya the way it was by the Avis, which that is Ve'era Lavram, Bekel Shin Daled Yud, because that was a one level, but the Shmi Havaya in a way of Nedaiti, that the others didn't have. And let's see how that touches, with that, we explain also the word Va'era. Va'era has two, in Diktuk, I'm not sure how this works, because the Va'era, the Vav is a Vav HaHipoch. So the Era means future, but the Vav makes it past. So Va'era means that the Eibishter appeared in the past, which is also the Pshut Yishul Mikra. That's how we understand the pasuk. In the past, the Eibishter appeared to Avram. But the Alter Rebbe says there's another pshat, another way of understanding the word Va'era, and that is not past but future. So that would be like without the Vav. I will appear. And but this idea that the Eibishter appeared or will appear has to do with the level of Havaya that we're talking about. If we're talking about the lower level of Havaya, so that's connected more with the inyan of Va'era, that he appeared. And then the higher level of Havaya, that's Va'era, I will appear to the Avis also this goes on Lashon Hoive and Lashon Asid. In Hebrew you have the idea of something happening continuous is expressed through future, like Kacha Yase Iyev, right? Not that he will do, but he's doing. It's a constant pu'ula, it's a constant action. So he nevaira yesh bebeis perushim. Aleph lashon avar shenizgal elavis, va'abeis lashon asid. Future shu lashon hoive shetamin yesh b'chenazu b'chol zman b'chol adam. So the idea of va'era in an ofen of hoive or asid, future or hoive, that's b'chol zman b'chol adam. So kihine ein kir navis al l'shleisha. So in order to explain this inyan of va'era, that it's lashon hoive and lashon asid, that something it's present and also future. So hastis, but the avis is already past l'chora. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So we're going to explain that the avis, the pshat is, in every yid you have the idea, you have the avis. Just like a father and a child. So you have the father, is bra karadavua, right? The child is considered a part of the father. So too, the idea of the avis, bra karadavua, the yidden are a chelik of the avis. Or al derech dugma, we say the idea of a tree. A tree has a root. That root, no matter what part of the tree, it's getting nourishment from that root. So a yid, a neshama, is receiving nourishment from the root, hasis from the avis. The Gemara says, Alter Rebbe says, Ein kir navis el l'shleisha, that the avis are only shleisha, are only Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. What about Reuven, Shimon, Levi? That's called a shevet. What's the difference? The difference is like in the mashal of the tree. The idea of the root, that's by that every part of the tree. But when you have a shevet, when you have a branch, not every part of the tree receives from that branch. You have different branches. Right? Al we say by the Menorah had 7 branches. Every yid, we talked in the Mamarim that speak about the Menorah. The Menorah refers to Klal Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael. And then you have each yid is connected with a different one of the branches. Each one of the branches, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes. But the way they are in the branch, so not every single yid is connected with each one. Not that doesn't come through. The sheirish, the root, that's supplying nourishment to the whole tree. So when it says Ve'er el Avram, whatever the Alter Rebbe will explain, but the Ve'er el Avram, that's connected to every single yid. Kihine kerin avis el shleisha v'inyin shebechinas avis Yerusha lebnei macharei bechol der v'der. That's the Yerusha to all the bnei macharei. L'chol chad lefum shura delay, each one according to his amount. V'inyin v'lachein. And that's why we say Elikei Aviseinu Elikei Avram. In Shemon Esrei, when we talk about this connection that we have with the Eibishter, so it says Elikei Aviseinu. It says that it's through the Avis that we have this relationship, this connection of Baruch Ata that we're describing, that we're feeling, we're experiencing in Shemon Esrei is through the Avis. We don't say Lekei Ruvain, Lekei Shimon, but only Lekei Aviseinu, Lekei Avram. All the Shar Bechinas Omeres Tzadikim, Kigen Ashvatim, the others is Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Shein Vade Bechinas Eres Elyonim, So they're Giluyim, and they're also the Indian. Their Indian is also connected, and also, as we saw in Avedis Hashem, also you have the Indian of Reuven, you have the Indian of Shimon, the Indian of Levi. The Indian of Reuven is Re'iyah and Shmiya, and Levi is the Indian of connection. Apam Yulav Yishielai. So Eretz Yenim, but there. That yesh lecha adam she'en klal b'chinas madregas elu. You can have some that doesn't have these b'chinas of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Mashenki b'chinas ha'avis tzarich li'es b'chol adam. That mashenki the avis is by everyone. Sheheim sheirish u'mukar kol neshamas Yisrael. So the Alter Rebbe calls it a sheirish. That's a root, as opposed to shevet. So that's the pshat when the Gemara says "En keren avis el l'shleisha." Ulahav and in Yingilizeh shebechol der v'der b'bchinas u'madrigas ha'avis shebechol adam Yisrael. So in order to understand this gilui that we have from the avis, which is continuous, so we need to preface with this Indian that we talked about before, the Indian of Galus, the Indian of Ibur. The Indian of Ibur and the Indian of Leda. As hine Agalus nimshal Ibur, ugulas yimei Mashiach sheyeh b'mehira v'yamina nimshal Leda. So the Galus is like an Ibur, and the Gulas is a Leda. Kamesha Kasu, like it says, Ki chala gam yolda tzinas b'neh. So first you have the beginning of the process, which is the birth pains, and then you have the Indian of Leda. So he says that Leda, the birth before the pregnancy is Indian of Galus, of the Indian of Ibur, and then the Indian of Ibur Hesis is the Indian of Galus, and the Indian of Gula is a Leda. So there, when the Yidden are in a matziv, in a situation of a tzara, so it says, Kivo banim ad mashber v'koyach ayin l'leda. So the Indian of tzara, the Indian of pain, of difficulty, that's connected with the birth pains. That's in a situation, a matziv of pregnancy. V'chein chavli yemei Mashiach nikroim b'shem chavli leda. So too, the birth pains of Mashiach is the birth pains of Leda. Kamesha Kasuv ki chavli leda yavayilach. Okay, so that's here. The Alter Rebbe brings different psukim from Tanakh, which illustrate this point that the galus, the pain of galus, and the pain of before Mashiach is referred to as the birth pains of the Leda, which is the Geula, which is the redemption, which follows it. So we find also the Gabe Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was also Galus Mitzrayim. The truth is that's the main Galus. All Galus are called Shem Mitzrayim. Also we find in Navi Him shall be Nevuas Yecheskel Kol Einyan Levlad B'Yem HaLeda. So Yecheskel he gives when the Navi is giving Teichacha, is rebuking the Yidden on their ways. So he goes through a whole. We read part of it on Pesach. V'emelach mispeseses b'damai chayi, right? We say by the bris milah, mispeseses b'damai. That's all part of the Leda process that took place. So it says there, Yecheskel describes the matzah when they were in Mitzrayim, and the Leda k'meshakasu v'meldisayich b'yem huledes eisach loy charas sharich. Sharich is an umbilical cord. Loy charas sharich. Nobody was there to cut your umbilical cord. Nobody was there to wash you. Only the Eibusher, but nobody. Right? We were thrown in the Sada. It says. So again, what are we seeing from here? We see the Indian of Galus. We see that it's connected with the Indian of Ibur, birth, and then Leda. In order to understand this, that Galus is connected with an Ibur, the Galus is connected, Gula, and Galus is connected with a pregnancy and birth, so we need to first understand deeper the idea. What is the idea of Ibur? What does it mean? So Alter Rebbe is going to explain, and he's from the Gemara, that the meaning of Ibur is a state of being. There's a state of being which is connected with an Ibur, which is connected with a fetus, and then there's a state of being which is connected with Leda. And that in Galus there's a state of being, the way our relationship, our connection with the Eibishter, the way it is in a Galus state, and then there's the way it is in a Gula state. So Kini Amar Azal, this is the Dorash Reb Samlai, Dorash Reb Samlai. What is the Vlad similar? How is it when the fetus is in the mother's womb? So it's Lepinkis Mekupel. It's like a folded book. Reishe ben Birkov. The head is in between its knees. Vikveisav ala gveisav, and its heels are on its back. So it's like it's completely like an accordion. It's completely folded up. V'oichel mimasheime echeles, and its food that it eats is the same as what the mother's eating. The mother is feeding the baby directly to the stomach of the baby. Upiv sasum v'tabure pasuach. Its mouth is closed, and its tummy is open. The Gemara continues, when the baby comes out into the world, so niftach hasasum v'nistam hapasuach. That which was closed becomes opened. What was closed, we described in the mashal, is the mouth. So the mouth now becomes open, and that which was open, which was the tabur, right, that becomes closed. And the Alter Rebbe will explain the Hainu. So what does he want from this mashal? Sheyesh lo uber kol chituchei ivarim. All the outline of the limbs the baby has, reish, veinayim, v'oznayim, everything the baby has, all the body parts that is all complete. It has each one of them. Ella, but despite the fact that it has each part, each one of the limbs, its head is in between the knees. What are we illustrating? In addition to the physical illustration of the way the baby is, we want to bring out she'enim mishamesh klum. All the limbs are not operating. The ears aren't hearing, the eyes aren't seeing, the brain isn't thinking. Everything is not operating. It's there, but it's not. Its functionality is not there. She'enim mechasher v'mahar v'chein einayim lehem v'lo yireh v'oznayim v'lo yishma. And even more than that, the second aspect of this, besides, so the first Indian is that it has all the evarim, it has all the limbs, but it doesn't have their functionality. And now v'gama meichel shalei, even the food that it's eating, av she'echel masheim echeles, even though it is eating, but it's not eating through its mouth. Rak derech hatabur libnei b'ayim uvad. It's consuming the food directly through its stomach, directly through its intestines. Lahagdil haguf, in order to develop the body. So the body is being developed as a result of the food that it's eating, but the food that it's eating is going directly to the intestines. It's not going through its mouth. Now, all these points, every nekuda that the Alter Rebbe is emphasizing here, is negei and the nimshal. Right? There's a klolistic Indian, but each one also there's a detailed point behind it. As we see clearly, The body is developing. It's becoming bigger. Avaliyah Samaichel over derech hapeh. Dahainu l'shleach chayis alev u'masham l'meach. But the Michael is not going directly into the mouth. The shleach chayis alev u'masham l'meach shem ivar nishima. Af shenigmru kol ivar v'yesh be'ivar nishima gamkin mikol makim hari ein le nishma asru achayim. It doesn't have nishma asru achayim the neshama ad sheyetzel avira elam, only when it comes out into the world she'oz meitzi akil. Then it gives out a voice. Kamei shomer azal, like it says. The Chazal say shu siman aleida the shami lavlad tzavitz. You hear that the child cries, mishum shahitzi reisha, because his head comes out. In other words, he comes out of the state of ibur into a leida. V'lachein einu sheleach chayis leivarei anishima. It's not the ivarei anishima. He says the chayis that it's getting from the food is not coming through there's the ivar anishima, the limbs that are connected with breathing, and it's when we eat, so it's coming down the food we eat through our mouth, so it's coming down the pipes, etc., and then only then does it go into the stomach. So that part of the process of the eating, that part of the eating process, you don't have by a fetus. Elo leivari hamazon bilvat. It's only going directly to the ivari hamazon in order to the intestines. Derech tabur sheshama mishkan abnei ma'ayim ivari hamazon. Masha'enkin reishay imkol ivari anashima im mishamshin klum. So they have no functionality. V'areim kemesim. V'lachein reishay mutal bein birkov. Its head is between its knees. Mibnei she'en lechayis. So here the Alter Rebbe begins to go to the Nimshal. It says, the nekuda here that the Alter Rebbe wants in this pasuk is the fact that it's mimarim. The Eibishter is above. From there is the roar, pirush. Then this is referring to Zman HaGolus. Again, we want to show the Indian of Galus is connected with the Indian of Ibur, of pregnancy. Pirush Kameshakasu Bizayar, the Salik Kuchabrichu Leila, that the Ebishter Kuchabrichu is Salik, the parts Leila above. Uchsiv Rachel Mevakal Bonea, Rachel, which refers to Knesset Yisrael, so is Mevaka, she's crying on her children, Keinenu. Because it's not there, meaning to say, Einenu is referring to the Eibishter. The Gilui Elikus is not present. Opirish b'Zoyar, the Koya Hakadosh Baruch Hu, that the Eibishter, the Hakadosh Baruch Hu, which is Zoh and Malchus, Keinenu b'Goy B'no, it's not amongst B'no, the children, the Solik, because it departed. Pirish. That the Shechina and the Gila Likus was removed mitachtenim, the Daim Elena Basar, and it appears in the Basar Ki'ilu Ha'elam David B'fnei Atzmi. So it seems and appears. What does it mean that the Eibishter departed? The Eibishter is always here. The Eibishter, otherwise, if the Eibishter really departed, right? The Goyim Taina, this is not the same thing, but the Goyim Taina also abayis Hashemayim B'Zoretz. That the Eibishter removed, the Eibishter left. Like what the Goyim are taining, that's why they deny the whole meaning of Hashgacha. Over here, we're saying that the Eibishter, the fact that this one can arrive at that conclusion is because the state of being. That's what the Zohar is describing. That the Eibush is Salik. Gilui Likus, the way it really is hidden and concealed. But not Chas V'Shalom Ozav. That's right. That's the conclusion that they come to. But we're talking about over here the fact that it's behelim, that it's concealed. V'hashmein leva the ein of hasha, that they don't see. Einayim lehem v'lo eravaya. Ki b'shamayim ima v'laris b'tach haseinoi. They don't see the idea of shamayim ima v'laris b'tach haseinoi, which is the truth, that there's nothing else besides Hashem. So now here that was one point in the mashal. The point of the mashal is that the fetus has eyes and ears, but it's not, the functionality is not there. So even though we have eyes and ears, the Eibishter is giving chayis to the world. Right? The world exists, and the Eibishter is giving chayis, but it's not. It's the functionality. We don't recognize the fact that it's coming from Hashem. We don't see the truth that there's nothing else besides Hashem.
You can compare it with the mother, mother.
With the baby, with the fetus. Yes. The baby is in the mother's. It's in the mother in the state of pregnancy. Yes. The baby's there, but it doesn't. The functionality is not there. The baby's not seeing and hearing, etc. Now the Alter Rebbe brings out another point of the mashal, another aspect, which he says, "Afi lo ashbas mitzvus u'maisim teivim." So what is in the nimshal? The food. We said that the food the baby eats is referred to as the food that the baby eats it eats what the mother eats, and it goes directly into the intestines of the baby. So what is the food? V'afi lo ashbas mitzvus u'maisim teivim. Shehem mazon lenefesh, that's the sustenance the nefesh has. So einay v'lem derech haneshima. So the way the baby consumes it is not derech haneshima, is not through the pipes that the food goes down. L'shleach chayis alev lamayach, which that would be when the food goes down, just like begashmis, when the food is consumed through the mouth, so it goes through a process until it gets into the stomach. That process, in addition to the physical aspect, which is going through, you're chewing the food, you're digesting the food first in your mouth, and then it goes through the body until it reaches the intestines. So this is that process that the food is going down. That's like the idea that it's giving chayis to the heart and to the brain. This chayis, when we say it's giving chayis, in other words, it's the functionality of the brain and the functionality of the heart that's now being developed. Not when in the fetal state, so the food is coming directly. There's food, but it comes directly into the intestines. It means it's a chitzoniistic aspect. It's a developmental aspect. But the idea of that it actually has an effect, the developmental aspect on the functionality of the Eivarim, that you don't have. That's the nimshal. That's the nimshal that Alter Rebbe is saying here. L'mandas savaya ulava is ulav de b'chol avavam b'leiv shalom b'nefesh chafetz so trukam regajas b'leiv kirish be'eshel haves with tzimoin, to have this whole the developmental of the development of the functionality of all these of the Eivarim that you don't have. The idea of the idea of das is havaya, to know the Eibishter, to love the Eibishter, to serve the Eibishter with a complete heart, etc., like a fire, a flaming fire, with simoin and a thirst.
What's Rishbei? What's the type of
Rishbei? A flaming fire.
Flaming fire. Shalavas is a fire.
Yeah, a flame.
Flame.
So that you don't have. The pasuk says, "Rish be'ez shall have eska." Brings down. You see the pasuk in Shir. Shall have eska is a fire, a flame of ka, of the Eibishter. Chassidus explains this refers to the ava which comes from the Maila. It's a godly fire. It's not a fire which is coming from you, but it's coming. It's from the Eibishter. It's like the ava mesuteres. that is now being awakened. It's an ava milamayla.
Or we're trying to ignite it. We're trying to.
Or ignite. Yeah, but over here that's not negea. Over here the point is only that the point is that it's these functionality. So the difference between the development of the fetus and the function of the Eivarim. So let's give it the definition: the chitzonistic aspect and the pneumistic aspect. The chitzonistic aspect is the fact that it grows, it becomes a full-fledged baby. In order to before the birth, but that's not the functionality of the different aspects of the Eivarim. The functionality in the Nimshul is the das avaya, which is the functionality of the brain, then the functionality of the heart. So mitzvahs anashim ulamada means that they are doing mitzvahs, but just out of rote, right? They're doing it just because that's the way they were doing it. That's what they were accustomed to do, but not that that's still the chitzonistic aspect, which is the development of the physical in the mashal, the development of the physical aspect of the body. The neshama, the functionality, the pneumistic aspect, that's not there. Ubekrirus, it's cold. Unlike we just described the Indian of Ava, which is a fire, which is a warmth. V'zeu ikir ha'golas beruchnis, and that's the main idea of golas beruchnis. V'hine tachlis hashleimus she'yimesa Mashiach. So the Mesa Mashiach. So this is part of the nimshal, but this is not. This is part of the leda, the birth that happens afterwards. Shehu bechinas leda v'iskalus eravai b'kerev ish v'leiv amik. Individually, like it says when Mashiach comes. So we see these words, v'nigla kvei davaya, v'ro kol basa. You have the idea of nigla, that it's revealed, and the idea that you have the re'iyah, the seeing, unlike the way it is when it's only developing the Eivarim. But now you have the functionality of the Eivarim. Uchsiv ka'ayin ba'ayin yiru. Again, the idea of seeing, having that experience when Mashiach comes. So who tali v'maseinu v'avidiseinu v'mei ha'galos. So this is dependent in what we do, Bizman HaGolus, Aliseris, Ava Mesuteres, Vade Believer Shel Adam, which we have to be Ma'ir. So even though Taka were in a state of Ibur, but nevertheless, even in that state, you have an Aveda, and not only do you have an Aveda, but that Aveda is really the Aveda which is necessary, a prerequisite in order to experience the true functionality when Mashiach comes. So in that state, you don't see in the mashal. You don't see in the mashal so much. You don't see that so much in the mashal of the ibur. So the idea that we started out with of the ibur, leda, and meichin. So the ibur and the leda, that's Alter Rebbe addressed somewhat. That's the ibur and the leda is the actual birth, which is geula. But the inyan of meichin, the Alter Rebbe will address later on, is the inyan of the nursing that the child has after it's born. So now it's nursing from the mother. That begins the process of the yanika. And the Alter Rebbe connects it to the word, the name of the Eibush, Shin Daled Yud. With Shin Daled Yud, Shakai is it's like the nursing. Shakai is the meaning of Shidayim, the nursing that the neshama has, which begins obviously with the Ve'er al Avram. And we say Ve'er al Avram is a Lashon Heva and Asid, which takes place, and that's a development which is also the Indian of Torah mitzvahs. Okay, the Maimer is, but that's the Nekuda.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.